Hello everyone and welcome back to another roadmap update video. This is the 10th of August 2022 and this is part 1 of the roadmap because I've split it into 2 because there is so much to talk about in the roadmap. So, well, yesterday was quite a day. Welcome to the first roadmap of the Train Sim World 3 era. Hop in, we've got plenty to share. We make no apologies for this being possibly the longest roadmap you're ever going to read. And that's why they've obviously split it into 2. They're also going to open up a question thread ahead of the Q&A stream next week. And they're going to answer some more questions over these 2 articles. And yeah, the time to digest information. So, what's new? Well, quite a lot actually. Yesterday we announced the newest addition to the Train Sim World franchise, Train Sim World 3. Chock full of new features, routes and locos. We can't wait for you to get your hands on it on September the 6th, or if you pre-order the standard and deluxe edition, you'll be able to get it on September the 2nd, so that will be a Friday, and September the 6th I believe is a Tuesday. If you haven't already checked out the announcement with Matt and JD, and it just says to watch that, I'll leave all of the links below if you want to take a look at any of them. So as a result, we've added our 3 new routes, the Schnellfahrstrecke Kessel to Wurzburg, Southeastern High Speed Extended, and the Cajon Pass to the roadmap. And as I've got a little bit of information about the route, so Schnellfahrstrecke Kessel to Wurzburg is the German high-speed route we've always wanted to do. At a whopping 115 miles, the longest route ever produced in Train Sim World, you'll be pushing the all-new DBBR 401 Ice One to 280 kilometers an hour and staying there, navigating a picturesque landscape of viaducts and tunnels. You'll be combining passenger and freight operations through the Hesse and Bavaria countryside. And then there's the Southeastern High Speed Extended, so that is London St Pancras International to Ashford and Faversham, with also from Gravesend to Dartford as well. It is Train Sim World's first route extension and adds length, depth and activity to one of Train Sim World 2's most popular routes. With 45 miles of extended track from Dartford to Ashford International and Faversham, with a much more extended service pattern, including dedicated timetables for the Class 465-9, new signalling, including approach control, new overhead lines, track relaying and improved scenery, and also a fully explorable Ebbsfleet station. And if you own the existing route with Train Sim World 2, you'll get the updated version in Train Sim World 3 absolutely free with any purchase of a Train Sim World 3 copy or bundle. So even if you've got the German starter bundle, you'll still get Southeastern High Speed if you own it on Train Sim World 2. And it is a Joe Burgess timetable as well, so expect it to be busy. Cajon Pass is another master of a route and one of our favourite American freight experiences, clocking in at 85 miles of pure American muscle. You'll be able to operate our first ever Burlington North Santa Fe locomotives, the ES44C4 and the SD40-2, as you tackle stunning mountain ranges and harsh deserts with some of the steepest inclines ever seen with Train Sim World 2. So pretty much you're going to get stuck. So yeah. As well as this, Spirit of Steam will be receiving all of Train Sim World 3's new features, and if you own the existing route within Train Sim World 2, you'll get pretty much the free upgrade in Train Sim World 3. So if you own Southeastern High Speed and Spirit of Steam already, and you don't really care too much about the early access, maybe go for something like the and if you're not into US freight, maybe go for the German starter bundle, as you'll still get Southeastern High Speed and Spirit of Steam. They'll get the free upgrade. We also have some positive news for you about the add-ons manager, so that was to sort out the 64GB limit. All content which we plan to release for both Train Sim World 2 and Train Sim World 3 is now labelled as such within the roadmap, including the majority of content on previous roadmaps. We've also removed a couple of items from the roadmap, including the PS4, PS5 profile transfer and DOVETAIL live rewards, and they're currently not investigating the former, and latter is now encompassed within the preservation crew section of the roadmap. We are sure you have a lot of questions about Train Sim World 3, and yeah, there is the frequently asked questions, which I'll leave a link below if you want to check that out as well. So, Train Sim World 3 route timetables. We ask the team working on the routes for a little insight on the timetables you can expect when you're playing the predominantly passenger routes on Train Sim World 3. So, Southeastern High Speed Extension. First up, James, our product assistant, and Joe, our associate designer, with the Southeastern Speed Extension. For the Southeastern High Speed route, There was a lot we wanted to do with the timetable, not only cover the basics of adding services to the new Ashford and Dartford sections, but also bring to life the existing route in a much more exciting way. The original timetable was based on reference gathered in 2020, which in hindsight resulted in a rather bare-bones atmosphere, with many services having given away to the pressures of the pandemic. Hourly javelins to Faversham, no peak time variety, and on top of that there were plenty of areas which were missing AI elements that bring stations to life, because I don't think there was any Medway Valley line AI either. All has changed for South Eastern High Speed and Train Sim World 3, using reference gathered from the 2019 working timetable, featuring pre-pandemic service levels. An exponential increase in traffic is now present on the route, with much more richer variety and of course expanding to reach the new endpoints on the route. As you can see, the trains there on the South Eastern High Speed screenshots. You can even see a 375 there, probably a Medway Valley line service. That would be cool to see. The full class 395 diagrams have now been accurately represented, using all of the units correctly throughout the day, including coupling and uncoupling procedures, as well as peak time oddities such as ECS moves and fast services avoiding stations. St Pancras comes to life in the rush hour with a mere 3 platforms supporting up to 8 departures an hour. There is certainly a lot more going on now. Ashford Depot is also included, interior and all, and the interior as well, and the services which bring 395s in and out of the depot. Around Ashford you will also see plenty of mainline AI from Tonbridge and Maidstone to the Kent coast, and you can see some more screenshots of Ashford Depot as well, which looks very, very nice. So you should be able to see them going through. The classic lines are also fully fleshed out, and more trains between Rochester and Faversham, including peak expresses to Cannon Street. Services which terminated in Gillingham now run to Dover, and rush hour splitting and joining of 375s at Faversham also feature. You can expect to see Sheerness branch AI, I thought that was about to say the Sheerness branch was in there, as well as Medway Valley line AI at Strood. North Kent has been transformed with the addition of Dartford. 4 trains an hour out of Gravesend Platform 0 to Dartford and vice versa, with additional services that also extend to Strood in the rush hour. Dartford also sees AI services which terminate from London, so that looks very, very good. And yeah, you can see lots of screenshots there. With the inclusion of freight stock, Who Junction sees a lot more action, mixing in neatly between the busy passenger timetable, aggregate engineering and light engine moves will be available, and yes, shunting as well. I love the screenshots, bloody love them. And what's that there? Can you see on one of the screenshots, it might not be there at the moment, but you can see by the looks of things that looks to be a Mark 1. Yeah, there's some Mark 1s there, isn't there? There's some Mark 1 coach. They look to be, they're the Spirit of Steam coaches. What are they doing there? Everything described, yeah, saying about that. So, Schnellfahrstrecke Kessel to Wurzburg. We move on to Lucas, our senior technical producer, and Joe, our associate designer, discussing Kessel to Wurzburg. The Kessel timetable service mode has been a team effort, mixing the expertise of both Lucas and Joe. We split the work up and what we do best, with Joe handling most of the passenger services and all of the AI he loves to be implemented, and me focusing on freight, the dream team. Wow, 2 hours and 27 minutes, one of those services. Wow, they're fairly long. For this route, we had an actual German freight timetable for the first time, so we really wanted to fully implement it. This presented more than just a few challenges. Since freight on this route runs at night between 10 PM and 6 AM, we had faced a big problem. Until now, timetables had been restricted to 24 hours and services could not cross midnight. This would have eliminated half of the services and all the fun. So with the help of our amazing engineering team, we spent some considerable time making this possible, so that in future can also make that last 11 PM service that ends on the next day. Now the freight is fully integrated with all the planned overtaking and parcel intercity that runs the route at night, and end up to 4 freight trains following in each other down the route. It also features some of the BR101 services, which lets you take the loco to full speed for over an hour, and the Nightjet services, which interweave with the freight at night, forcing a lot of the freight trains to waiting a siding for them to pass. We've done our best to fill the timetable up to the real working day, and hope everyone enjoys the bustling action in Wurzburg, Fulda and Kessel Wilhelmshohe, be it at night or during the day. And then we've got the trains. The choice of trains and routes in Train Sim World 3 with them brought with them a new challenge for the team to meet. Here are some of the unique features which we'll hope you enjoy, and the team have grappled with them when it comes to the train setup. So, Burlington North Santa Fe ES44C4 locomotive looks at first glance like any other wide comfort cab US heavy freight locomotive, but looks can be deceiving. It has a little unique trick up its sleeve. Normally the locomotive spreads its weight distribution across all 6 axles. However, if the wheel slip systems on the train detect any reduction in grip, they can take the weight off the centre axle, meaning that the full weight of the locomotive is now only on the outer 4 axles on each truck, massively increasing the amount of grip you have. So hopefully that will help get upgrades. You can see this in action with some cylinders on the side of the trucks. Both the animation and physical change to adhesion are simulated in Train Sim World 3, and some more beautiful screenshots there. Moving on to the ICE trains. A new feature for Train Sim World 3 is a high-speed braking system called eddy brakes. These are now implemented on the ICE trains and allow them to stop much more quickly, particularly in emergency conditions. When the Ice 3 first made its appearance in Train Sim World 2, players requested that an additional screen that shows the driver what's happening with the brake systems on the train be added. That's a lot of information, and it's helpful to the driver to really know what's happening along the length of the train at any given moment. So the team have worked hard on getting this implemented for Train Sim World 3. Lastly, the PIS has seen some of the biggest improvements to the amount and types of data that it can show, accommodating the more detailed on-train screens on the ICE, but also adding other messages, car identifiers and so forth on trains such as the Javelin. So I think that'll probably be something like Smart PIS, so we'll now get that on the 395, 375, the ICE I would imagine. UI and menu screens. With Train Sim World 3, we've been given the opportunity to rewrite the rulebook to provide a better player experience. Our senior producer Jordan and creative director Sam tell us more. It may seem obvious, but when considering changes to the menu system in Train Sim World 3, we repeatedly reminded ourselves that the main thing that players will want to do is drive or operate their trains. When looking at an overhaul of the menus, we started with 2 roles. Menus flow should be intuitive and memorable. Players should never be wrong. If they expect to find a link or tool somewhere, it should be there. In a perfect world, a player would be able to load the game, press one button and be into the action immediately. While that lofty goal isn't possible, we've introduced a couple of features to get closer to it. The quick play option will give you the choice of under or over 30 minutes. This will then randomly select a scenario or service you haven't completed, depending on the length of service you choose. Don't like what you were offered? Maybe it helps you decide what you actually fancy doing. If not, you can always go again. This is ideal for players who know what they want to run a train but don't know which. We also recognise that many players work their way through one route before trying the next, so the game will give you a quick link to the last route you played. We want you to be playing as quickly as possible, and you can see obviously the screenshot there of the UI. Of course, many of us want to operate a particular locomotive on the route of our choosing, so the traditional approach to selecting a route then service has been simplified, as much as we liked previous approaches for selecting a route or loco. With full screen images on the train model on display, they didn't make it easier to get to the point of actually playing. This led us to using smaller tiled representations of your collection so you can see more at a glance. This approach also has a lower memory requirement, which means your menus should work much faster, which you can see it looks very, very neat and looks nice. Another thing we spotted was that with the advent of layers allowing trains to be run on more routes, players often weren't certain what could be used where. To that end, we now give you the options to select your train first, then you choose the route on which you'd like to travel. As your collection grows, this may yield more opportunities for you to use your favourite train in more places. Keeping the intuitive and simplistic goals in mind, we've changed the location of the creative tools, which can now be found in Creators Club. We've also given you more help when it comes to knowing these tools or using these tools, getting rid of the text list of vehicles, replacing them with white box thumbnails. Knowing the designations of 5 different kinds of freight wagons is no longer something you need. While the tools themselves haven't changed, we have given some time to removing frustrations in their operation, particularly the scenario planner, which should now be easier to use, which you can see looks way better there. There are improvements everywhere in the new menu system, and we are confident you will find them easier to use. So Train Sim World 3 gameplay, tutorials and scenarios. Of course, there's no point in providing all these features if there's no gameplay to take advantage of it. We spoke to Richard, one of our senior designers, about the new opportunities Train Sim World 3 provides us with. Gameplay on Train Sim World is literally the bits of game that you play. This includes the timetable, tutorials, scenarios and journeys. The timetables are a realistic day in the life of our chosen route. Tutorials should teach players how to operate the included rolling stock. Scenarios are unique situations on the railway that we create, and railway journeys are a playlist of content to guide through the route. Tutorials are always a challenge for us, as in real life drivers will spend months, if not years, learning the ins and outs of a train that they operate. In a short period of time during development, we need to operate multiple trains and locomotives, their quirks, and figure out how to teach players in bite-sized and engaging chunks. For Train Sim World 3, we've gone even deeper than what we have done in the past, teaching signalling and safety systems that allow for more realistic and fun experience. For example, players who enable AFB and LZB on Kessel to Wurzburg will have a much better time as the speed control and signalling systems work in harmony. It was high priority for us to make sure players are aware of this. On top of this, we've worked with experts to ensure that Cajon Pass is the most realistic US freight route we've made to date. When creating scenarios, we try to focus on situations that are realistic but not included in the timetable. These can be the situations where things go wrong, like stuck trains, poor weather or unusual services that you wouldn't find every day on the line. The improved weather and lighting in Train Sim World 3 gives us a lot more options with how these were set up and allows an increased level of realism. One example of that is a realistic wildfire scenario that we've been able to create on Cajon Pass. So, Railfan TV and Train Sim World 3. We all know you're excited to find out more about Train Sim World 3, so Railfan TV will be chock-a-block full of previews, so it's just got dates. So on the August the 16th, they've got an introduction to Train Sim World 3 and a Q&A. Thursday, August 18th, Kessel Wurzburg preview. Tuesday, August the 23rd, is Training Centre. And August the 25th, my birthday actually, is the Southeastern High Speed Extended preview, so that's a nice treat. And then Thursday, September the 1st, is Cajon Pass. I'm really surprised they didn't leave the British route until last to preview. That's why they always do that, as I always know it's coming the most hyped up. They always leave it until last. So that's good, we've got Cajon Pass last. So Add-ons Manager. We are pleased to reveal that Add-ons Manager, the 64GB PS5 add-on limits fix, is very close to release for Train Sim World 2. Our beta team have provided positive feedback so far, and we are putting the finishing touches to it before rolling this out to consoles, as well as providing a solution for our PlayStation 5 players to allow them to use their whole suite of Train Sim World add-ons. The Add-ons Manager should also reduce some crashing seen on the high density routes, so like Brighton Main Line and stuff like that on the PS4 and Xbox One. Keep an eye out for this releasing before September the 6th, providing all is well it should be released to Train Sim World 3 and on PC for Train Sim World 2 soon after. Okay, yeah. And a big thanks to all of our PlayStation 5 players for remaining patient as we've worked on the complex issue. Awesome. And then Preservation Crew updates. The Preservation Crew have done a great job of adding updated features to older routes, and it's time for the next stop on their journey. The remaining viable work for the team, as shown on the roadmap, will shortly be completed. Once tested and released, the team will be renamed, focusing on improving Train Sim World 3's training centre, removing route requirements from future loco add-ons, as well as continuing content improvements for Train Sim World 3 content, and they're going to share a bit more on that in future. Train Sim World 2 routes and locomotives that have been released, unless otherwise stated, will not be redone with Train Sim World features. We want to bring our players new content that brings variety to their worlds, whilst sharpening up experience across Train Sim World 3 gameplay. Okay. Come on, make the Brighton Main Line with Train Sim World 3 features. It's the best route in the game, the best British route in the game. I would love to see Train Sim World 3 features on there with the volumetric skies. And in fact, really all of them, all of the Train Sim World 2 routes would be nice to see with all of the new features as well. Because then it almost feels like those routes are sort of being left behind, sort of almost forgotten about. Which almost indicates that they're not also going to get DLC either. So yeah, hopefully they do change that, because yeah, I would love to see the Brighton Main Line or East Coastway, for example, with the new volumetric skies, dynamic weather, etc. So I really hope they do end up sort of going back on that. The existing preservation crew content on the roadmap will be released within Train Sim World 3 first, with releases coming into Train Sim World 2 at a later date. Train Sim World 2 to Train Sim World 3 progress transfer. Progress uploaded to your Dovetail Live account will transfer between games. You may have to re-download your uploaded Creators Club content. So pretty much, if you don't want to lose your liveries, upload them to Creators Club, and then you'll go on to Train Sim World 3, log in with your Dovetail Live account, and then you can download your liveries again. Progress related to your game profiles, so your levels and stuff, will not come over, although that's under investigation, so that may be changed. Train Sim World 3 will have new achievements for all routes, so achievements will not transfer between Train Sim World 2 and Train Sim World 3. We're investigating whether progress achieved on Train Sim World 2 can contribute to trophies in Train Sim World 3. And then you've got the derailing issues. After putting in a fix to some derailment issues players were experiencing on Spirit of Steam, we saw a few isolated examples of further derailments. As a fix, like this touches every route in the game. Save game, dispatcher improvements. The team are still investigating both large scale and smaller scale improvements we can make to save game, the dispatcher and problematic routes we've identified issues on. Work is ongoing and we've done a lot of testing to ensure rogue red lights and AI traffic dispatcher will not interrupt your experience within Train Sim World 3. Save game, whilst related, is a different challenge, one which requires a more drastic approach. In previous roadmaps we've talked about difficulties with what we have with save game, which we've had since the release of Train Sim World in 2017, with some players unable to continue services due to the game continuing in the background, causing permanent red lights and spadding. Rather than provide an unreliable feature for the new game, we will temporarily be turning off the save game functionality within Train Sim World 3. So you're not going to be able to save your game in Train Sim World 3. That sounds like... I mean, most of the time I did it, I didn't have an issue. So I don't know... I suppose, yeah, some people probably did have the issue with the save game. But most times I saved my game and went back in, it was fine. So but it seems like you won't be able to save your game anymore. Microsoft Game Pass. A few eagle-eyed players have noticed that Train Sim World 2 goes out of Microsoft Game Pass on August the 15th. As we confirmed yesterday, the Train Sim World 3 Standard Edition goes on to Game Pass on September the 6th, with all of your previous add-ons compatible and ready to download on day one. There is therefore a 3-week window where Train Sim World title will not be available to play via Game Pass. Achievements. We are aware of 4 achievements which are being reported by you as unachievable in-game. One for the 187, one for Spirit of Steam, one for Oakville Subdivision, and one for which is Navica Dresden. And they're working on them, trying to sort it out. Alright, let's see, roadmap. So, upcoming Dovetail Games releases, Kessel Wurzburg, Cajon Pass, and Southeastern High Speed Extended. Other releases, the DBBR 420 from Munich to Augsburg. Core features, add-ons manager for Train Sim World 2 and Train Sim World 3. Red light dispatcher improvements and save game functionality. They're all on the roadmap. That's TSW3 stuff. Rush hour passenger system for London commuter. That's going to be for both Train Sim World 2 and 3. And Spirit of Steam manual farming functionality. That's again going to be Train Sim World 2 and Train Sim World 3. Preservation crew. Cathcart Circle, Hamburg, Lubeck, Weimar, Austin, Bakerloo Timetable, Long Island, Peninsula Corridor, Oakville Subdivision, and the LGV. They're all going to be for Train Sim World 2 and Train Sim World 3. And the Island Line and PS4 to PS5 profile transfer have been removed, as well as Dovetail Live rewards as well. But that is that was 25 minutes or so. Wow, this is going to be take me quite a long time to edit. So when you're watching this, that was probably quite a while of me doing that. But yeah, I mean, it's, we've got part 2 coming out tomorrow. Nothing new on there, obviously apart from the things we already know. A slightly disappointing news with the way it seems Train Sim World 2 routes at the moment aren't going to be getting the upgrades Train Sim World, because Spirit of Steam is getting the Train Sim World features, or the Train Sim World 3 features, but it seems the other routes won't be. Which hopefully they will reverse that decision, because it would be nice to see all of the new fancy features on the old routes as well. A bit like what the Preservation Crew did with the Train Sim World 2020 routes. They went on, added PIS, etc. Made them all nice and new skybox. So I really do hope that decision does get reversed. It probably won't. But yeah, it would. I mean, especially for the route like the Brighton Main Line, Riesa Dresden, Boston Sprinter, the new sort of rush hour routes. It would be nice to get the volumetric skies on there, the dynamic weather, if that would be on there as well. Sort of all the new features, it would be really nice to see them on the old routes as well. Because it almost feels like they're sort of being forgotten in a way, which, yeah, I don't know, but that's another thing that's going to niggle me. But yeah, what does everyone think? Do put your thoughts in the comments below. September the 6th and also September the 2nd if you pre-order the Standard and Deluxe Edition. So yeah, put your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? Links can be found in the usual places: Discord server, PayPal, merch store. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for the next roadmap video. See you all and take care. Bye guys.